According to Amazon, Amazon got 25 million viewers globally for Rings of Power on the very first day. 25 million. That's amazing, Amazon. Wow, you must be getting so much positivity out there. There must be so much positive feedback. There must be so many people telling you how great this is and how wonderful it is, considering 25 million people watch this. You must be dealing with so much positivity you can't even figure out what to do. Except that's obviously not the case. And this is why we continue to hold these companies accountable and call them out on their bullshit. Now, I'm sure a lot of people watched Rings of Power. I don't know what the exact number is, but I don't believe Amazon. I don't believe anything Amazon or any of these streaming companies say, but you can feel it in certain situations. So like, for instance, something like Spider-Man No Way Home. Did a lot of people go watch that? Yes, they did. And you could feel the magnitude of it online. You could feel the discussion. You could feel the enthusiasm out there. You know, a House of Dragon, you can definitely feel that that is out there, and there's so much enthusiasm out there. And so many other things, Stranger Things, Cobra Kai's coming up. A lot of people are going to be looking forward to that. Better Call Saul, Yellowstone, all of these shows pull massive numbers. Now, I'm not saying that Rings of Power didn't pull massive numbers. My entire problem here is that this is the headline they're running with, while also silencing anyone of having an opinion on this show. Now, leading up to this show, we have seen no positivity, generally speaking, because the negativity has far outweighed the positivity. And I mean by a lot. We're not talking 50-50. We're not talking, questionable, like where does it fall? It was heavily on the negative side. Heavily. And it's even gotten worse after the show releases. People, generally speaking, hate this show. And in my opinion, rightfully so, because the show is objectively terrible. It's a horrible show, a terrible show. But let's get into the bigger picture here, because we see this aspect of it. Okay, we see the mainstream media out there telling you it's 25 million people watched it. Everyone loves it. It's the greatest thing we've ever seen. And at the same time, now they're pushing out this type of nonsense. A racist backlash to Rings of Power puts Tolkien's legacy into focus. So now that's another narrative that's being floated out there. So on one hand, we have this narrative that everyone loves it. 25 million people watched it. This is nothing but positivity. Everyone loves it. And then the few angry people out there that hate it, it's just racist backlash. That's what it's being dismissed as. This happens every single time. It's the same song and dance. No one that pays attention to this channel is surprised by this, because this is exactly what was always going to happen. This is exactly how it always plays out. Any criticism of their product will ultimately be dismissed as racist, misogynistic, toxic man babies, just like Lucasfilm, just like Marvel, just like DC, just like now Tolkien. Unfortunately, Lord of the Rings. Because Lord of the Rings, those three movies, the original Peter Jackson movies, the greatest movies ever made, in my opinion. And they're not even my favorite, but they're just that great. But that's just one little small piece to the Tolkien puzzle. It's an incredible world. It's an amazing world that, he created. And the fans have such respect for this lore and this history, as they should. The fans, the Tolkien fans that are really plugged into this, really understand it and appreciate that. And for all of them to be dismissed as racist trolls is such a level of disrespect. But you get what you deserve, media. You have continued to do this to the fans, and they are sick and tired of your games. You also have Screen Rant pushing this out with Ismael Cruz Cordova, who plays Don Limelos. Rings of Power star says he fought so hard for the role and that he knew he would face racist backlash. It's literally like Obi-Wan Kenobi all over again. Now, the reason these stories are put out is to dismiss any real criticism. It's also meant to intimidate people from criticizing it. So if you have genuine complaints, sometimes people will go, well, I don't like this, but I don't want to be labeled a racist or a sexist online. I don't want the search results for any time you Google me to say I'm racist because I didn't like this movie or show. So it's meant to intimidate people from actually having valid opinions. That's what this is all about. This is all about protecting the corporate brand. That's what it's all about. Now, Amazon here confirms new review system preventing users from leaving feedback on Rings of Power until 72 hours after its premiere, claiming waiting period introduced to stop review bombing from trolls. Again, if 25 million people watched this, and that's very possible, if 25 million people watched it, what are you so worried about if the show is good? Let's say 25 million people watched it, and it's just a few angry trolls in their basement that don't like it. So you would think your 25 million number would be enough to offset it, but for some reason, you don't want to allow anyone to have an opinion on this. It's almost like they know that they gave us a bad show. It's almost like they know that the criticism is valid, and it's almost like they don't want anyone to see it so they can continue to push nonsense like these stories out there to set a precedent, to set a standard, to set a tone so that people, even if they have valid criticisms, will think, maybe I shouldn't say this because I don't want to be labeled this. And maybe there are people out there, again, we're talking about a general audience person looking at this story going, oh, wow, maybe I didn't like Lord Rings of Power, but I don't think I want to talk about it because I don't want to be labeled with these toxic trolls out there, these racist trolls. It's meant to intimidate people from giving their opinion. That's the entire point behind this. And we've seen it so many times that is a completely a broken record at this point. It's a meme at this point for companies, for the shill media to dismiss fans with a valid opinion of any show that is pushing the right narrative. And Rings of Power is pushing the right narrative out there. The actors involved, they're pushing the right narrative. We've seen it time and time again. So this is the latest example, but this one I think is going to be a massive backfire. And we've seen the backfire happening, and it's why they are pushing stories out like this while at the same time keeping any fans from having a valid opinion, because we can't really have that. You can't actually let people have a valid opinion because, my goodness, how terrible would that be if you actually let people say how shitty this show really is? The most expensive show ever produced. You really, really stepped in it this time, Amazon, and you get exactly what you deserve. The fans will continue to win. We will continue to speak for the fans and stand with the fans because the fans' voices are out there. They're valid, they matter, and they should be listened to, and they should be highlighted. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I appreciate it. Have a great day, and we will talk to you later.